Okay, okay. Turn that all the way down. Should have had Discord open. Made things easier. Tell you what. I tell you what. Man, get out of here. Man, I need to do a dang old Twitch, man. Or just make that self-promotion. That's what we'll do. Alright. Man, I don't know. I don't know about this camera view. Maybe something like that. Alright, more gold, non-metallic metal nightmare time. Because I'm a masochist. At least it feels that way. If you're watching this on YouTube for some reason, thank you for watching. I appreciate you. This is a pre-recorded VOD if that is the case. But I appreciate you watching all the same. Alright, so off camera we got the head done, which is, well, not done probably, but to a good state right now, I'd say. And then we have the upper carapace, I think, looking okay. The scale of the non-metallic metal is probably not right. I like this shoulder pad better. I think I might rework this one to be a bit more spread out like this, because I think that looks better in general, kind of like the front part of it. So I'm gonna work on this part tonight though, get that done, and maybe work on where to go. Oh, here we go. Work on this as well. You know what, we might actually do that first, just as kind of like a palate cleanser a little bit. As crazy as that sounds. Yeah, I think we're going to do that. And I want to try, I saw this on Instagram. I want to try sponging non-metallic metal on here and then do the gold last. You know what? Actually, I think we'll do that first. I think that'll be first, and then we'll do the trim and the inner armor panels. So let me get a piece of parchment. Like that, like that. Get that laid down. Oh, excuse me. There we go. Take our handy dandy scraper. And just for anybody listening on YouTube, after the fact watching this VOD, I will be at Adepticon this year, and this Reaver Titan is my Golden Demon entry. I'm very excited about this. So, if you're going to Adepticon and for some odd reason you want to meet me, just flag me down. If you follow me on my other socials on TikTok and Instagram under Big Nerd Mini Painting or Big Nerd, you can find all those links in my Twitch profile. And I need to make sure my YouTube has that. But anyway, yeah, like I said, there's some videos of me, so it's not hard to figure out what I look like. And just flag me down if you want to chat. Alright, I don't know if this is going to work how the Instagram reel showed. Just because he had blenders, I have highlighters. But we'll see. My opinion, hopefully, a makeup sponge is a makeup sponge is a makeup sponge. So we're just going to get some of at least our known colors onto the wet palette. I think we're going to end up doing a blend mix of both. You know what, let me... Oh, of course, both of my paint brushes flew away over there. That's cool. Big appreciation. Hold on. Man, my chair is creaking tonight. Got one. Alright, so first we'll just mix that up. Like I said, I think we're gonna need, yeah, a little bit of a mid-tone there. Like that. That should be fine. We're gonna try that on both this and this, so let's start with this one. Try not to shake the camera too much. Just dab it on. It's probably not going to be super noticeable at the moment, just because it is a pretty dark gray. Right now I'm not worried about spillover, because again, all that's going to get covered up anyway. Right now, I'm just trying to establish base tones, mid-tone, and a highlight. That is the whole goal right now. Hit those cables while I'm thinking about it. Well, I'll have the couplings be that silver non-metallic. The actual cable I'll do the same as like the undercarriage, where it's more of a traditional metallic, which sure somebody out there is gonna go, well, that's really dumb doing that for Golden Demon, doing true metallics next to non-metallic. They're probably right, but I don't care. I'm not 100% sure how I would even paint the undercarriage of that. with non-metallic right now. I think we might be going on a little too heavy-handed here, but we're going to try to work it out. Because honestly, anything to shave a bit of time off, I'm here for. We're just going to focus on these upper bits. Like that. I mean, so far, I definitely don't hate it. The transition is definitely smooth. Which, I mean, it should be. It's a makeup sponge, so it should be fairly clean transition of colors in the first place. All right, yeah, I don't hate that. And then we're gonna just try to be super careful with this highlight. We're just gonna hit the most upper edges. And then we're gonna go in with a little bit of a toned down white, and then just hit some of those more raised, prominent areas. I want to get just a little bit of this underside for bounce reflection. Like that. Because you would have light bouncing from the ground, causing a secondary reflection on the underside. Like that. I mean, granted, I don't know who's going to be that deeply looking into it, but you know, you can never really be too certain. It is Golden Demon after all. Right now, I'm just using the makeup sponge to kind of do a little bit of a bit more of a blend there. Not really trying to wipe away the paint, I'm just trying to blend it in to the previous layer. And we'll do the same back here. Like that. And that's pretty good, honestly. like for a quick, just, you know, quick and dirty non-metallic, I certainly don't hate that. And then we're going to take some white. We're just going to make a off-white. We're going to get a fine tip brush for this. Alright, I am unexpired by this music. There we go. Switch it up to some synthwave as usual. So we're just going to get that off of there first of all. We're just going to take a bit of our gray and make a nice off-white. Before you do any highlighting, you always want to make sure you're wiping a little bit of the paint off. And we're just going to do some highlights. They don't have to be perfect, which is nice. You can kind of have a little bit more of a sketchier pattern. Or at least that's what I'm going to tell myself. And just periodically we're checking. We're going to make a little bit of a darker mix for the bottom highlights. I'm just gonna hit those surfaces like that. And if you're new to edge highlighting, one thing that's always good practice is using the side of your brush whenever you can, because if you do that, then I wouldn't say you're guaranteed, but you have a much higher chance of getting a clean line across the edge that you're trying to highlight. We don't want to go crazy with this, but we want to have at least enough edge highlighting here to really kind of help break up some shapes and show where that light would hopefully be realistically bouncing. Some of these upper highlights we're just going to establish a little bit more as well. One nice thing as well is whenever you're doing any kind of brush work, keep in mind that you don't need to slam your brush against stuff. I won't lie, I learned that from Ninjon, but after I've kind of changed my ways, so to speak, I feel like I've gotten a lot cleaner results because of it. You really just need kind of like a feather's touch, basically. You don't need to go crazy with it to get good results. And just because the sponge couldn't get to this area too much, I'm just doing this section by hand, basically. Now we're just gonna pop that onto there, see how that looks. Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't hate it. I think maybe like a solid wash would help, maybe. I don't know if I love it though, but certainly don't hate it. I think it's in a very workable spot right now. So we're going to go ahead and work on these armor panels, which this will certainly be interesting at least. I did this but a day ago. I'm losing the marbles. Ah, the dark plum. Okay. Alright. Just gotta find dark plum. This pain's gray. Oh, there it is. Alright. So for this, I'm going to start with Payne's Gray from the Monument Hobbies paint range. Specifically from the Vince Venturella Signature Edition. Or is it set? I don't even know. Signature set. That sounds probably more like what they would have called it. That makes more sense, you know? We're just gonna do... This is when you wish you could get... I mean, I could have done this prior, but then I know I'd overshot the sponging, and that would have been rough. I think for the chain sword arm, I'm gonna try dry brushing. I don't know if that'll work like that much better, but if it can give me a little bit of a smoother finish, I'd be happy. While that's doing that, I'm gonna try. It'd be very unfortunate if this ruined the whole thing, but I'm going to try watering that down, this contrast paint, by a lot. I'm just going to test on my glove here since I already have some. That's leaving quite a tint. Make that watered down even a little bit more. Yeah, that's more what I'm looking for. I just kind of want to apply this as a tint underneath. Like that. And I think this will just give like a cool gradient effect to it. Let me pop it back on. And that really did not want to close. Let me see here. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then I overshot a little bit. On that edge highlight, so just gonna re-establish that. Like that. Yeah, that blue is subtle, but I think it kind of helps sell that bounce reflection, essentially. Like, maybe what I can do for the basing will kind of help inform that decision, but I like it. If nothing else, it's my mini and I can do what I want, even if it is for Golden Demon. Who really cares, right? If we're honest with ourselves, we know it's not gonna place, but we just want to see it in the lights. It's like when you moved out to LA and you're like, I may not be a movie star, but at least I can say I made it. You saw my name in lights. That's all we're going for, folks. That simple dream. We don't ever need to be world renowned. or have our own painting class. We just want to be in the case. We're doing this for Notice Me Senpai points. That's what it really is. Let me get back to this panel here. And if you're new to the hobby and watching on YouTube, one thing to note as well that I'm doing here is I'm not letting the paint get above really like a third of the brush. But like if I really want to be painting with a certain color for a long extended period, I could push that paint into the belly of the brush, which is the midsection, and that will hold a lot of paint and a lot of moisture for a good long time. But you really don't need to push up to the belly of the brush, only because paint and moisture will naturally travel a little bit upward, and then whenever you start putting it to model, it obviously travels down and out of the brush. Okay. Should be dry, at least on the other side. So then what we're going to do now is we're going to do basically the mid-tone. So we're going to take a fair amount of water here, grab our dark plum, get it nice and watered down. And we're going to apply that more towards the middle. You don't really want to cover up all of the original Payne's Gray, but we do want to basically purple shift that tone, hence watering down your paint. You'll start to see that transition from that undertone, which will be acting as your shadow. And again, we're not pressing the brush real hard, we're just lightly touching the miniature. We're gonna let that dry. Basically, we're glazing on that next tone. Excuse me. Alright. Sorry, I need to start talking about the stream ending. And then somebody will jump in and be like, hey, what's up? I've never painted Warhammer before. How are you? Alright, so we're going to do basically the same thing with the royal purple, but not as diluted. As you can see, we still want a fairly good amount of pigmentation. We may actually have it a little bit too thin, but we can always do another coat. Right now, I'd rather be going too thin than not thin enough. Yeah, I think already we'll need to do another layer, which is totally fine. Remember, kids, you can always do another layer. You can't take away them. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing, Chadwick? Buddy, I don't know. How you been, man? Maybe I just naturally sound a little bit like Hank Hill. Couldn't really tell you, man. I've just been in here talking to myself. I'm just glad to see somebody else, honestly. Just been yapping, man. Oh, yeah, probably. I do that. My father trained me well. What you up to tonight, man? Okay, I need to stop fucking with this. And that decides to not dry. Okay. We're gonna let that, what's commonly referred to as dry. Okay. Just chilling about the check in the kiddo. She's been sick since Monday. Oh, man. Sorry to hear that. Oof. That sucks. What the fuck am I doing? I don't even know. Yeah, no worries, dude. Take it easy. Have a good night. Thanks for popping in, man. Ah, whatever. Ah. Alright, we're gonna try a little bit of dry brushing on this one. Want to see how that turns out. Assuming I don't fuck up the dry brushing. Though, to be fair, I think what we're going to be doing in later passes of this is more of what's called overbrushing. And that's like the sloppier version of dry brushing. Okay, got that base coated. I'm going to start essentially overbrushing these areas. Like so. With this, we're getting off less of the paint. We're just trying to focus on creating smooth gradients. And creating those bounce lights. Like that. That doesn't look too bad. And then we're gonna take some of this, again, get it down to basically dry brush consistency on your brush, and we're gonna just hit those upper areas, not real strongly. We're just focusing on those upper portions We're not worrying about things that would naturally be in the shadows. And where I can also do a little bit of stippling. To get into those harder reach areas, we can take our brush, get a little bit of that original color, paint it in there, and let that area naturally fall back into that shadowy area. Like that. And then we're going to take some of that, and like before, we're going to make a just off-white. We're going to do those edge highlights. And like before, we're just making those same bounce light highlights on the underside. probably can just pop that on top and just kind of see what we're working with here. Alright. Alright. I think we can go ahead and get back to this now. I think I could use another round of that royal purple. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to even more face this one more towards the upper face of the miniature, or well, armor panel more of. So I'm going to do something like that. Let that dry. We're going to let that dry. I just want to take a look at some images. Okay, yeah, that weapon does appear oh, that's cool. Yeah, no one's painting that as like glowing. Okay. That's good to know. What I might do as well is dry brush just a little bit of silver onto these. I don't think I will, but it is an option. Alright, so that's dry. Let me see something real quick. That's pretty close. I don't know where all the dust comes from, but I get a bunch of dust, which is kind of annoying. Alright, so we're just gonna start the process again on this armor panel here. And I checked, and I really don't mind that these are going to be a little bit darker in tone for the armor panels, unlike the rest of the Titan, which I wouldn't call bright, but it's not super dark either, to be fair. Okay. I think I'm gonna do just a very thin glaze layer of dark plum on this bottom part here, where those two colors meet. Like that, like that. Be right back, guys. All right, little bottle of water. I'm gonna wipe most of that away, and I just wanna try to unify this area right here. Yeah. Yeah, alright, I like that dark plum idea that I had, so That's cool. That's nice. Let's go. I think I might hit the top of everything with a very, very light sepia. You know what? In fact, let me just get that. Snake bite. There we are. You know, the worst is it just looks like trash and we redo it. That is the worst that can happen. It's not like anybody here's aiming to fix my mistakes, so to speak. Alright. That was probably way too much water, but I just want, yeah, just a very thin coat. Just want to see if that kind of helps unify it just a little bit. Which, so far, I say it has done. It just kind of helps bring a little bit of that warmth back into it, you know? Alright, we're going to set that to dry. And preferably not tump over. We're going to do the same thing here, I think. Now that this should all be dry. Go. Let that dry. Me being the absolute rube that I am, did not think about that for the chain swords, so I think we're gonna still just go for it, but I gotta be a little bit, oh well, that, okay, in hindsight, that, okay, that's fine, whatever. We're just gonna get the chain sword bit. You know what, this works out, because I don't have to be overly worried about hitting other stuff. I mean, if we do, it's pretty easily fixable, honestly. So it's not like the end of the world in the first place. just like that. And then we're going to just mix that up with the makeup sponge. Hit those more upper facing areas. Like that. As long as we don't hit the purple, I'm okay with a little bit of overshooting. That only takes just a smidgen of mahogany to sort out, you know? And then we're going to take just a little bit of that white, mix it in there, like so. Once again, just try to hit those upper facing portions. While avoiding everything else. That looks pretty decent. All right. Now we can go back to this, and that looks nice and unified now. It's still a little bit drying, so I'm gonna set that down. Take just a little bit of that purple. Just gonna kind of work it in just a little bit more right there. I'm not 100% sure why, but it just kind of looks like it needs it, I guess. Like that. I'm gonna go rinse out my cup and I'll be right back. I don't know how it's already 11:37. That is insane. I think just to help tie things in a little bit, and try to do it even more subtly, I'm going to hit this with just a little bit of that blue contrast just on the bottom. Okay. Okay. Now we can go back to working on this piece. We're again just basically glazing this onto this armor panel just as tint. This initially, and then we'll build into that richer purple that we see on the rest of the miniature. At least if people are watching this on YouTube after the fact, this VOD will actually have me talking in it. Unlike the previous two VODs where I've been too focused on that non-metallic gold. Speaking of which, I think we're gonna go ahead and grab this mahogany and we can start putting the base layer down for that non-metallic gold. I like to start with a dark brown and then work my way into those. Excuse me, my God. Excuse me. Work into those nice gold, non-metallic transitions, essentially. And this is not a non-metallic metal color I can really fudge, only because of the size. If I were doing this on like a marine or something, I think after using it now, I think with maybe some tweaking, that sponging method would work really well. You know, I'm just well, I'd have to get all the paints, and I don't think we're going to have time for that tonight. But, well, I mean, they're right there. I am very curious. Do a very cheaty one real quick. Frickin' yellow man. Okay. We'll use this side of the sponge, I guess. So we're just gonna get our sponge wet. We're gonna do just like that area of my glove. I don't know if this will like prove anything as far as like proof of concept goes, but I'm just very curious. Something like that, and then mix in that yellow a little bit. I guess what I'm trying to like do a proof of concept would be more of a volumetric approach, which so far seems to be doing quite well. And I'm sure if anybody watches this on YouTube, somebody will go, well, yeah, no shit, dummy. How could you not believe the power of sponge? Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Get like a... I mean, it's probably getting fucked up because of the latex glove, but yeah, okay. And like use that end. Yeah, I mean, we're probably starting to pull paint, but that's cool. I like that. Working on this Reaver Titan. Fucking around with sponges. Yapping to myself, basically. That's honestly one of the bigger takeaways. I spent like an hour and a half just talking to myself. But if I don't get on here, no one's gonna find me, so it is the curse, I guess. But yeah, pretty boring stuff right now, in all fairness. I've just been working on these guns for the Reaver Titan and prepping all of the trim on the weapons once the armor panels are at least to a decent percent done for the non-metallic metal, which I do not love doing, but nor do I think it looks particularly amazing, but you know, Once again, if you don't do it, you'll never improve, so... Right? Being a painting nerd about it and wearing gloves. Protect the miniature from all me dirty human oils. Other than that, just went and saw me mum. Hung out with her for a bit, had dinner. Usual Wednesday night shenanigans. It's really not that bad. Like, I'm doing, like, beyond extra shit. In fairness. But, like, a lot of stuff you could get done in, like, 2-3 hours. She's good. She's good. But, yeah, no, I feel you, though. Like, this dude I'm at least 8 hours into. And, like, that shoulder pad I like more than this one. I'm probably going to rework this one. The rest of it I don't hate too much. Still could do some blending there. And then all this fucking trim has got to get done. So, whack. But the cool thing is I do have, hopefully, a commission coming up for some Harlequins through the vault. So that's exciting. I got a free hand diamonds, though. So the dude's giving me a tester miniature to paint to see if I can do it up to snuff. And if not, well then, you know, I already told him no harm, no foul there. I'm not going to charge for a tester mini. But after that, if he likes it, then I'll, you know, obviously quote the job and we'll go from there. But that's exciting. And then I also have some miniatures from BJ, the manager over at the shop, that I want to paint and that he wants done before a tournament. But those are Night Lords, so I'm very familiar with that. And not only are they Night Lords, they are the Forge World, I'm going to butcher their name, but like Contancor or Contar? Their name is so fucking stupid. I wish they had just done like Night Lord's Cataphractii or Agamentum, I believe is the heresy term for their first company. Terminators, I forget, honestly, but I'm super excited to get to paint those. Five Guys Burgers and Fries. That one's a little bit of an invest in my own time, just because, if I'm understanding correctly, he'll pay for paints, but I don't actually get payment for that. But if I do it, the hope is that he'll go to this tournament in San Antonio and talk me up, hopefully, when people ask about who did his Terminators. And then he'll be like, oh, big nerd, and then people want shit from me, hopefully. But yeah, my mom's good. Back to talking about her momentarily, at least. Yeah, we just went and got some Mexican food, hung out, went back to her apartment. I hooked up her router. She's got to call Xfinity, see why the fuck it's not working. Even though I reset that bitch like 8 fucking times. Oh, I sent you a video on Instagram, by the way. And there was a dude that painted up a really fucking cool looking Land Raider for Emperor's Children. So, whenever you get time, if you haven't watched it already, I recommend going and checking that out. That shit's cool as fuck. Not JoJo themed, but still very cool. Nice. Yeah, I figured I'd maybe paint until like midnight, 12:30. I'm gonna go meet up Adam tomorrow at noon to go pick up those Terminators. So I don't want to be up dummy thick late. Plus, kind of getting tired already anyway. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you've heard, but big ice storm on Saturday night, so you might want to get with your folks and make sure y'all are prepared for that. I'm hoping it won't be too bad, but since y'all lost your power last time for a considerable amount of time, I figured I'd give you the warning. Okay, yeah, I figured, but let's see how this is all looking so far. Ah, yeah, no, that's starting to look like a tiny war machine. Ooh, I didn't think that'd be so loud. Sorry about that. Hold on. Get that in there. Haven't glued the head yet. But yeah, no, he's looking cool so far. He's like, I'm gonna get you. Yeah, no, that's looking pretty decent so far. Of course it's stringy now. Pop that back onto his painting handle. Look at that little cute noggin. How long have I been on? An hour and 37. It's not too bad. But I do think that is a decent stopping point, because at this point I'd have to start doing non-metallic metal, and that is a whole ball ache. So I think that's going to be tomorrow's issue. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean me brush. Be right back. Okay. Yeah, because if I didn't have to be anywhere tomorrow, especially at noon, I'd keep going, but I gotta be places at noon. Because Adam's like an adult or something and goes to bed at reasonable hours of the night. I don't know what the fuck that is about, but, you know. To be fair, I think he has to work tomorrow, though. I think he's just running over to the comic vault during his lunch break. Oh, yeah, no. I mean, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to play a game. But I'll probably hang out there and try to catch a game with somebody if I feel up to it. Yeah, like I said, unfortunately, I think he has to work or has other things to do, and he's just popping over to drop off the Terminators. But Thursdays are 40K night, so hopefully I can catch a game there. Either that or I'll just come back home and jump back on TikTok or Twitch and do some more painting, one of the two. Yay. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it there once more for the camera. Oh yeah, Armada as well, yeah. I might hit them up. We'll see. I'd have to dig out all my Armada shit to be fair, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pop off. Thanks for hanging, man. I appreciate it. Have a good night, dude.